Welcome to the Fortuna Admissions video blogs. My name is Matt Symonds. I'm one of the directors at Fortuna Admissions and very lucky to work with almost 40 former directors and associate directors of the world's top business schools. I think my colleagues have worked at 13 of the top 15 schools. And for today's interview, I'm joined by Julie Ferguson, who was a senior associate director at Chicago Booth. And Julie, you were also part of the team at Wharton's Lauder Institute. Thanks very much for joining us.
Oh, it's great to be here.
Now, of course, in your time both working in Philly and in Chicago, you will have welcomed many applicants, future MBA hopefuls to the campus. So we're really going to focus on building that rapport, sort of creating a connection with the schools, going beyond their websites, going beyond media rankings and all of those other great things that resources available. Where should we start? Let's perhaps start with the campus visit. Your advice, is it worth doing, and when, and what applicants might look to get out of a visit like that?
Yeah, I think I'm usually surprised when I start working with a client and they haven't done anything in terms of reaching out to the school or sort of establishing that connection with the school prior to really thinking about creating their application. So one of the first pieces of advice I always have for my clients is to immediately start establishing that connection with the school. And one of the ways that you can do that is to look at their events section on the admissions website for each individual school. And they'll usually have a list of events, and not everything has to necessarily be on campus. But the on-campus visit is going to be such an important step, not only for you as an applicant in terms of figuring out what the atmosphere of the school is and what the community is like and what it would be like to be a student for 2 years on that campus, sitting in the seat in the classroom. But it also shows a vested interest on your part to the school and to the admissions committee. And one of the things that I think that a lot of people don't understand is that when you register for an event for a school, that is typically directly tied into your application as well. So on the back end of things, the application system is the same system that is creating the event registration. And so when the AdCom prints out your application and looks at your application, it will list the events that you have registered for and attended for that school. And although it's not a make or break all of the time, especially say you live halfway across the world, you can't necessarily do a campus visit here in the US, or if you live in the US, you can't necessarily do a campus visit halfway across the world. There are online events that you can attend too, online webinars that they do, info sessions that they do online. So there's ways to still interact with the school without necessarily going on campus. But if you can go on campus, that's one of my biggest pieces of advice.
Right. So, of course, through those different webinars, campus visits available to you, it's a great opportunity to find out more about the school and possibly sort of put forward questions. Now, if you're going to ask a question, whether at an info session or on campus, it had better be a question that isn't already answered on their website, right?
Right. Yeah. So one of the things you want to be really careful of is that you've done some level of research before you even go in for a campus visit or before you have an informal interview meeting with an admissions person, so that you can actually use your time wisely and you can use your time to dig a little bit deeper into the culture of the school beyond what you see in their marketing materials and on their website and maybe, like you said, in the rankings and what some of the rankings are writing about these schools. So it's really important that you have sort of the gist of who the school is and how they've portrayed themselves and the basic information about the program itself. So you should know, is it a 1-year program or is it a 2-year program? So you don't want to be caught asking some of those questions that with very, very little research could easily be answered. You want to create a little bit more depth within your questions of the information that you're asking for.
A campus visit might be structured in terms of, an initial introduction that they would make. They might even bring in a professor for a masterclass and alumni to talk about their experience. It can be orchestrated. It can be marketing. Are there any opportunities, do you think, to then show up a little bit early and head to the cafeteria, sort of try to connect with students, or even maybe reaching out to individuals through LinkedIn ahead of time, explaining that you're going to be on the campus and seeing if you can connect with those people?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's such a great piece of advice, Matt, is before going on campus, there's so many different ways to try to connect with current students, especially. So one of the ways you can do it is definitely through LinkedIn. You can find people that way. But another way that I like to look at it is to go into the student club section of the school's website and find the clubs that you think you would like to participate in as a student. And typically they'll list who the club members are, and they'll have their email address, and you can reach out to people that way as well and say, I'm coming to campus, I'm a prospective student. I actually, if I am lucky enough to be a part of the program, this is one of the clubs that I'd love to join. Do you have a moment to talk when I'm on campus, or would you have a moment to talk on the phone? So you start to establish those connections with people that are actually in the program, so that when you interact with the admissions committee, you have a level of knowledge and a depth of knowledge of who gets into the program and what they're looking for and what the program offers that, a lot of people coming onto campus wouldn't have.
Is it, I mean, you worked at two of the M7 schools that are highly selective. And of course, there's no shortage of, fast track professional careers coming out of top undergrads with competitive GPAs, high GMAT scores, GRE scores. When you then encounter someone who, thinking not just what they'll contribute to the MBA classroom discussion, but what they will contribute to the community, and how they've already maybe had those conversations with, the president of a club, and it might reflect what they're looking to bring in energy and ideas and engagement, right? So I mean, were you very sensitive to that when you were reading these files?
Yes. So one of the things, especially at Chicago, is this idea of fit. How does the school fit what you want, and how does the school fulfill sort of what you're looking for out of an MBA program, but also how do you fit with the program and the culture and the environment? And that's why these campus visits can be so important, is that each school does have its own personality, just like you and I have our own personalities. And it's important to go and see that in action instead of just sort of looking at it online or reading about it in a ranking. It's kind of like getting the touch and the feel of the school and the type of people that end up there. So from an admissions committee perspective, the more someone does to determine their fit with the school, the more attractive that person becomes, and sort of just the more, I think, worthy of a thorough look they become, because they're investing their time to understand what you're looking for and who you are, instead of just sort of like, oh, they're ranked number 2, I'm definitely going to apply there, but I don't really know anything about them. And there's absolutely no fit at all between what I've been doing and what I want to do. So that's going to be a really important part of how you present yourself to the admissions committee.
Right. Now, of course, with Fortuna, we've helped so many successful applicants applying to these top schools, and you have a significant network. As you also then sort of bring LinkedIn into the picture, or the advice to look through clubs and identify those individuals that are playing those very proactive roles as part of this business school community, whether they're very busy current students, because these MBA programs do keep them very busy,
right?
Or of course, alumni that have gone on to lead very successful and busy professional lives. Any final words of advice on how best to then reach out, make that sort of connection, and hope to strike up a conversation?
Yeah, so I think just like anything else in when it comes to social networking, you be authentic, make good choices about who you're reaching out to, and craft sort of your story when you reach out to them. Is, you don't have to send them your resume, but, be clear about why you're reaching out to them and why they are the person that you've decided to reach out to. What is the connection that you feel to that person, and give them, sort of a concise explanation of, why they should sort of spend their time talking to you. So again, it's just about the research and formulating in your own mind what that connection is, and, why should this person care? Why should this person respond to you? So, you kind of have to sell yourself even at that very beginning part of the process.
Now, for any of the viewers, connecting with Fortuna is very straightforward. You can sign up for a free consultation and talk about your own business school plans and the possibility of working with expert coaches like Julie with her experience at Booth and at Wharton Lauder. So do get in touch. The video blog series, we cover all the different aspects of admissions, whether it's your resume, recommenders. There's a host of material on the Fortuna website and on our YouTube channel. Thanks for joining us on this one. Julie, thanks very much.
Thanks, it was great to be here.